Mikel Merino. He's a man who's really in form at the moment. Had a really disrupted start, that freak injury in that training session, but since then he's come on leaps and bounds. Wherever he plays, either in that striker slot, he played a bit deeper at Portman Road, but he went into that forward position to get that flicked assist. What an assist it was as well, by the way, for Martinelli. Absolute thing of beauty.
Hmm.
Maybe there were some doubts when Marino, I don't want to say when he first joined, but when he was struggling to get back up to speed after that injury. Is this another example that you always have to trust Mikel Arteta when it comes to transfers?
Yeah, I think it's another example also of she's just got to give new players, no matter how old they are and experienced they are, time to adjust to a new country and a new way of playing. I know Marino's played in the Premier League before, but that was a long, long time ago. And when you speak to any new signing at Arsenal and you speak to them about what it's like, they're all like, I've never seen training like this or coaching methods like this. It's all so new to them, no matter how old they are or experienced they are. Declan Rice said it himself when he joined. So I think you've got to. It's another example of having to give players time to adjust. And I'm delighted to see what he's doing in the second half of the season because we've all questioned him. I did it myself. You kind of. It's very similar to what happened with Kai Havertz. There was a stage after about 3 or 4 months you were looking at it and you were just thinking, I don't see this is going to work. I'm not seeing any real signs of this working. But then flick the switch for him. It's been this move up front. It seems to have just it's just found his confidence, his belief. Probably he feels like he's part of the team, which maybe he didn't do beforehand, and that's helped. Coming back, like you said, I thought he was brilliant for the first half against Ipswich. It was an absolute clinic from him in that number 8 position. I mean, in a way, he wasn't actually that. It wasn't actually that different to what he's been doing playing up front. He was playing very in an advanced role. It wasn't like a high touch performance from him. He had, but what he did, he just did so well. And his pressing was brilliant. His duels, we know all about them. He was brilliant. The touch from Martinelli was fantastic. And yeah, I mean, it bodes well for next season, doesn't it? Suddenly you've got a player that a few months ago we were looking at and thinking, what does he bring to this squad? But now we know what he brings to this squad, and come back next season. Hopefully, he's going to be a really important member, whether he's starting or not. He's going to be a really important squad member, and that's going to, that's a real boost for Arsenal.
Yeah, that leads me perfectly onto my next question. It's really fascinating what is going to happen with Marino next season because, like you say, he's proven that he can do a job in that more advanced position. And, barring some kind of transfer disaster, Arsenal will sign a new striker this summer. You'd expect Havertz would be back, touch wood, at the start of next season. But has Marino proved that he is still a viable option in that number 9 role, even with Havertz and a new signing available? Camerino, is he still an option there, or do you see him more sort of rotating with Rice in the number 8, or maybe even with Odegaard in the number 10 spot? What does the future hold for Marino?
Yeah, stuff. I don't really see him as a viable option, like you said, unless something's gone desperately wrong in the transfer market, or unless Arsenal have been hit by loads of injuries. He's shown he can do it, so that's a good thing. If you do need it next season, he can do it. But I think we'll see him more back into his natural position next season. I mean, he's going to be competing with Kai Havertz as well, really, because if stroke when this new striker arrives, if it's an absolute sort of a striker who walks into the team, which you kind of hope it will be, then you're going to have to find a position for Kai Havertz to get minutes, not necessarily start every game, but get minutes. And you think that's probably going to be either as the reserve striker or also dropping back into that sort of left 8 role that we saw him start out in without having too much success. But and so Marino's going to be competing with him as well. It's good for the squad though, isn't it? This season, how many times we sat here and bemoaned Arsenal's lack of squad depth in certain areas. Well, if you get yourself a new striker, you get yourself a new left winger in the summer, and then you've got Marino and Havertz to come back into the side as well, and to sort of share the minutes around in those attacking areas. Suddenly you're looking at a much stronger squad than we've had this season, so that can only be a good thing.